How's it going, guys? It's Mr. Lone Wolf, and today there's just going to be a bit of gameplay in that of doing this Forgotten Civilization mission with this Chevrolet Apache. I was trying to find some gameplay that was suitable for it, obviously because it can't have trailers or carry any cargo on the back. It pretty much counts it out of most missions, but fortunately I've still got this one left, which is essentially just an exploring mission. I've got to go and visit 3 sites on this Amandra map. And yeah, I just sort of wanted to make this video. One, it's a bit more gameplay and discussion about this truck. Obviously, to a degree, it's caused a bit of controversy by it being released, like, not as part of the season pass, being charged for money and that. So yeah, this video in general is, like, kind of a response to people's comments, not any directly specifically. I just wanted to talk in general about, like, my feelings on, say, like, the season pass, microtransactions, this truck, all the rest of it. Yeah, just because when I was replying to people, it's like, it's quite hard to just sum it up in a sentence. Like, there's kind of different levels for me of, like, DLC in general. Basically, yeah, as a discussion about microtransactions and all that stuff in general, 99% of the time, I'm against the whole idea of microtransactions, generally because so far in the gaming industry, it's just been abused by companies that essentially sell a game and then they add DLC afterwards, but more than just DLC. It's like, on top of that, there's either loot box mechanics to where you can't even have the thing you want, you now just you're literally gambling. And then the second aspect is, like, sometimes they add things that essentially improve the overall game, and you only get that if you then pay extra. So yeah, the industry's, like, implementation of microtransactions, DLC, all that sort of stuff, or not DLC, but microtransactions particularly, I've never really been a fan of. Hypothetically, though, there are certain situations. As far as this game goes, and this microtransaction, this truck, I don't think it is worth the money, regardless of, like, whether it's... Yeah, it's just, I don't think it's worth the money in this game. This truck isn't that great in this game, it's not very useful. If it was cheaper, like, basically, we paid for the season pass, and generally speaking, I'm not really, a fan of them adding now separate DLC on top. However, I was also, when I was thinking about it, it's like, the season pass I bought for 20 quid, in theory, if I've only got a quarter of it up to now, I do think they need to release DLC quicker, and that's where stuff like this doesn't help, because it's kind of like, can you get your focus and attention back on hurrying up with, like, DLC and mods and stuff for consoles? So in that sense, it doesn't help. But yeah, what I'm actually getting for 20 quid, like, if I've got the Lake Cov map, Amandra, the F750, the Warthog, did we get the TUZ16 off there? Yeah. I don't know, I've got all-wheel drive for the twin steer, all-wheel drive for the GMC, that radar trailer. Like, there's lots of things that have been added to the game that I'm generally enjoying, and if that's only, like, phase 2 of part 1 of the DLC, and there's 4 DLCs to go, then yeah, overall I feel like I'm getting my money's worth. As for this particular truck, I don't know if it has always been planned as a cash grab. We'll get onto that subject in a second, but... Or I don't know if, like, you know, after the game, some of the development team or whatever are like, oh, you know, this is a cool truck, we should add this. But, I mean, to a degree, and I'm not absolutely not defending, like, that kind of... Well, I'm not defending the money-grabbing philosophy in general, like, I don't really agree with it. At the same time, if I go to McDonald's, I know they're going to charge me money for a burger. They don't give a shit if I'm hungry, full, or otherwise. They just want to sell me a burger. And, yeah, if they add a new burger to the lineup, I don't know. It's like, they're doing it for money. That's what every company runs on. And I'm not saying I like that or anything, but unfortunately, it's the way it is. Like, no game's going to get made unless they think there's a profit margin in it. As for this particular truck, whether it's a cash grab or not, the funny thing I kind of find with this is, in some respects it does feel like a cash grab, because it's a bit of a lazy truck in terms of what it can and can't do, but then the other side of it that feels like the opposite to a traditional cash grab is that, yeah, it isn't that much of a good truck, so it doesn't make, you know, it's not one of them where it's like, oh god, I need to have it in the game. Like, as I've advised, as I bought it, generally speaking, I don't really think it's worth the money. it's one of them, like, I don't know, I've got bills to pay and shit, so in some ways, £3, you know, just disappears like a fart in the wind anyway. In other ways, I've got bills to pay, and I don't just want to be spending £3 on, you know, just a random truck that doesn't really benefit me anything in a game that I've already bought and paid for and all the rest of it. But the nice thing is, because say, for example, if Activision or EA or somebody like that are just classic money-grabbing bastards, they would have done like, oh, we've added this Chevrolet Apache. For one, it'd be not just good, but it'd be overpowered. It'd be some god mode thing. But the sneakier thing they would also do is say, oh, if you get this, it also comes with 6 new types of tyres that'll be like, you know, rock crawling tyres, massive big snow tyre. They'll just add things that are like cool that benefit the overall game, and they wouldn't just be tyres for this truck. They'd say, oh, you know, if you get this truck, you get these tyre packs that you can now put on every other truck. And that kind of mentality does piss me off in games in general. Like, Call of Duty isn't, like, I wouldn't say renowned for it, but I don't know, they're not like in Black Ops 4 and stuff, and I think to a degree they did it in Warfare, but probably not as bad, or Modern Warfare. Yeah, they'd obviously sell the game as the base game and all the rest of it, get all the good reviews, and then a few months down the line, they'd suddenly ram it with DLC or microtransactions. But on top of that, they're adding guns that were like just flat out better in the game than everything else. Like, I remember on Black Ops 4, I think it was the gun called the Stingray, and it had explosive bullets, and that thing was just insane. Like, and because it was loot box mechanics to get it, obviously some people probably spent hundreds, if not more, trying to get it and didn't get it. Other people got lucky, got it in a few boxes. But as far as the gameplay went after that, in the lobbies, it was just like, if you have that gun, you're going to do better. If 6 people on that team had that gun, and I know that's like human v human or whatever, so this isn't, like, this is more PvE, I suppose, like you versus the environment. So yeah, in some ways, I think this is a bit too of a stronger word, so just bear with me, but it's for now. I kind of respect that they haven't tried to do that. They haven't tried to add a load of, like, stuff along with it that'll improve other areas of the game that'd be beneficial to everybody, but you can only get it if you get this. Like I said, if they sold this and then said, yeah, it comes with 6 types of tyres, again, if it was Activision or something, that radar trailer we got recently, they would have kept that behind and said, oh, you get a free radar trailer with it, so you can now have, like, you know, it's like, that's another mechanic of the game. So in that respect, like, saying I respect them for it is a bit strong. I at least appreciate that they haven't just gone all out cash grab and made it a godlike vehicle with some other benefits to this game that we've all kind of mentioned or we want or whatever. So at least in that respect, they've basically added a truck. As somebody said in the comments, and it's very true, it's like a collector's item, this thing. It's like, it serves, if anything, I think the too little value. I think they've underdone it. Like, when they added the car marshal, like when the game sort of first come out, I reckon quite a few people that didn't have the car marshal basically complained that it was too overpowered. And it wasn't really. Like, for everyone I've ever spoke to who's had the car marshal, not one person has said it's overpowered. I think we're all on the same rough understanding that it's a bit of a gimmick. It goes flying down the road for 5 or 10 seconds, but then it doesn't grip well. You can't aim it very well. It rolls over all the time. Like, it's a little bit more hassle than it's worth. It's funny for a few minutes, but I certainly wouldn't recommend it. The only truck I think that is decent, as far as that you could actually buy, was the Navistar. And yeah, the Navistar was £1.69. This I think is too dear at £3.29 as far as like English money goes. It should have been definitely more like £1.69 or something. But yeah, they've also undersold it. Well, not undersold, it's probably a bad choice of word. They've underdone it to where, again, because this isn't like human v human, I don't care about the whole pay to win aspect. And I certainly wouldn't want this to be pay to, you know, nullify the terrain and it just goes absolutely steamrolling all over the place. But yeah, it's not good enough. It doesn't even feel realistic. Like, when you're looking at it driving and stuff, it's got 6 big chunky wheels, and yet it does get slowed down like far too easily on even pretty shallow bits of snow and all sorts. I don't know if they've done that as kind of like, I was thinking of it, they've either done it because they're scared or nervous or whatever that people are going to say, well, that's OP. I think the fact that they've just added DLC like this, they've already opened themselves up to people kicking off, and I can see why. Personally, for me, I will say, I'm not mad about it or anything, because, again, like, I don't agree with it or all the rest of it, but I kind of, yeah, they're a company, they're trying to make money, so I'm not shocked about it, put it that way. So yeah, it doesn't mean I'm like fond of it or like want that to carry on happening or anything. As long as they keep the main bulk of their attention on yeah, getting the DLCs out quicker and fixing bugs, then generally speaking, like hypothetically, if a game had its shit together and it's offering what it said it'd offer and all the rest of it, I'm not that bothered about DLC. One of the main reasons that sort of gets me with DLC is, like, again, with Black Ops and Modern Warfare to a degree, if they don't add that many things in the first place and then they start trying to sell you other weapons on top of, a lot of cases with those games, it felt like some of those guns probably should have been included in the original game, but then they just removed them so they could sell them back to you. In fairness to this game, I think it was a lot of game when it was released. There was a lot of trucks, a lot of maps, a lot of content in this game. Like, realistically, this took me a shitload longer to complete than even like Grand Theft Auto 5, which I think we'd all agree is worth the money and you get a lot of content for your money. Yeah, so like, I don't feel ripped off by this whole situation. In some ways, the fact that this thing isn't very good, like, they're not twisting anyone's arm to buy it. Yeah, no one's missing out on anything if they don't buy it. Again, my advice would be, I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't, like, you'll drive it around for, you know, 10-15 minutes. It looks cool, I'll give it that, and not just the 6-wheel thing. I just like the look of these old school pickups. So yeah, it looks cool, but it's just, after driving it around for long enough, it feels, yeah, too slow, too average, too basic. Like, it's not lighting my fire, it's not doing anything exciting for me. Not that I need it to hurtle around like a rally car, but yeah, it does feel like there needs to be more there. Like, the power should be higher and all the rest of it, I think. Anyway, that's just in my opinion. So yeah, I suppose that's like my overall feeling on the situation. Like I said, there's a few levels. Generally speaking, I don't like DLC regardless, or sorry, microtransactions regardless. However, yeah, if done right, I can kind of live with it, and I'm not necessarily saying this is done right. Again, should be half the price and have better stats to it. Like, at this point in the game, when it's been out 4 or 5 months or whatever it is, yeah, if you're trying to add, like, the fun element, there seems to be someone, which maybe it's part of the brains behind this game that makes it work so well, but somebody there has a fetish for just driving extremely slow in snow and everything. But in some vehicles, they feel like they take it too far to where it's beyond simulation, and it can be fun for a certain amount of time. But like I say, I'm definitely I lean on the side of, like, I like high speed in games and stuff. My argument for that would be, there's a reason Formula 1 is a bigger thing than, I don't know, lawnmower racing. People like the high speed rallying. People prefer to watch rallying than tractors driving down a dirt road, because they like that speed and crazy element to it, and so do I. Yeah, like, someone at this company is obsessed with the idea of going slow, and they need to kind of, I don't know, offer a little bit more. Yeah, offer a little bit more variety. Like, the fact that this has got 3 or 4 engines. Why is the top engine just still a bit limp? It's like, yeah, I could choose the first or second engine if I wanted some limp, slow running engine. And it's like so, I mean, it's not this thing's fault particularly, but those ice blocks along the side of the lake, for whatever reason, I've noticed this the last few days. Every time I hit them, they fire me into the lake. I've never had one shove me further away from the lake. This is also another issue with this thing. I mean, look at that. Listen to that lack of horn. Again, that's a fucking horn. This, oh my god, it, like, makes me feel ill just hearing it. See, so ill I had to go back. See, look at that rock to the right of me just shit its pants. And they say how it's pretty hard to get blood out of a stone. It's pretty hard to make a stone shit its pants, but the P16 has the horn for the job. This thing, I mean, yeah, it's just embarrassing. It's one of the worst horns in the game. That almost writes the whole idea off in and of itself. I mean, that's what I need, is DLC horns. DLC horns that rupture trees as you drive past them. But yeah, like I said, that's my overall feelings generally on the situation. I'm not trying to sit on the fence on it. Overall, I'm not keen on the idea of DLC. It just, I don't know, it doesn't bother me or piss me off enough to where it gets me mad or anything. Like, overall, in the scheme of things, this game has done enough to where it's like, alright, have your bloody DLC. Again, I don't need it, I didn't have to buy it, I wanted to buy it because I was going to do like a review and everything anyway. But yeah, I don't know, I mean, it doesn't, they're not trying to rip me off or anything, they're not trying to twist my arm into it. I just think this particular truck has kind of been a bit of a poor execution of a microtransaction because it isn't that good. It's like the stuff we just got for free, which again, in some way, if you swap this round for the F750, and we're now buying the F750 and this was what we got, it also looked bad in that sense, because it's like, hey, you just gave us the shit truck for free and now you're giving us like a much better truck as long as we pay for it. This is like the opposite situation. I kind of waffled on a bit earlier, but what I was going to say is it's either, I think, going to go one of two ways. They've either kept this crap on purpose and they're going to leave it like that, or instead of like where they released the car marshal and then people went mad and then they nerfed it, they've kind of entered this one in low. That's what she said. And then they're going to buff it at some point. I don't know, but I sort of hope so, because otherwise I still stand like, yeah, it's not worth the money in its current setup. But I at least like that it's not trying to twist my arm and add other game features and all that and trying to sell it me as like a whole extra package. Yeah, you don't need it. You're not missing out on anything. It does look pretty cool, but it'll soon just, you know, be one of them. It's like all the other trucks looked cool when I first got to drive them, but now they're just the trucks they are. The R look pretty damn cool. Still does really, but you know what I mean. Yeah, like I say, that's about it for today though. It's a bit of a shorter video. I just wanted to get all that out there about that's my thoughts on the situation really. Yeah, I got that mission done in the end. Nearly 10 grand for the mission. Not too bad, all things considered. Yeah, anyway though, I hope that helps. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon. Need to run out of fuel as well.